Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of The Message. I'm your host, Donatus King. We'll spend this next hour with one purpose in mind, and that one purpose is delivering the message that God is Almighty. Everything that ever was, is now, or ever will be, is a piece of God. Everything that ever was, is now, or ever will be, was made by God. Everything that ever happened, happening right now or ever will happen, was made to happen by God. God is the master plan, all time and all creation. God is Almighty. Good evening to all of our viewers. Uh, Good evening, Brother Welly, Brother Ryan. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. And as you all know, the format of our show. Today is June the 8th, 2023, and I remind all of you new viewers of that fact because we are live. Then tonight's topic, that's what I said a minute ago, premarital sex. All right. I think there was a song that was out a while ago. Let's talk about sex. I think that was the name of the song. But we're going to talk about sex tonight, right here on this show, on The Message. And the message, one purpose, be living the message that God is Almighty. And I didn't say that. I'm glad that I thought about that just now. That this show, the message, is brought to you by, it's produced by the Society of Knowledge. The Society is an interdenominational ministry. Our members come from various different religious and spiritual backgrounds. We have various different religious and spiritual beliefs. Although we come from different backgrounds, we have different beliefs. There's one belief that we share. There's one piece of knowledge that we hold in common. And that's the knowledge that there's a being. By no matter what name we may have been taught to call that being, by no matter what name we may have come to know that being, whether that name be God, Allah, Yahweh, Jesus, Jehovah, Buddha, nature, by no matter what name, we know that there is a being that possesses not some of the power, not most of the power, but all of the power. That's the reason we do the show, and the only reason we do the show. And that's to deliver the message that that being that personally I call God, that being is indeed Almighty. I know that was fast, talking fast, but I did that because we got a lot to talk about tonight. You see on the screen, that's our main website, www.godisalmighty.org. I invite you, I encourage you to visit that website, lock it into your web browser, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can visit that website. There are links to all of our social media platforms. In this past week, I've been working on our Instagram. You know, a lot of folks are on Instagram, and that Instagram address that you see there, there's another one that we have, and I'm going to make sure we get this slide corrected in the near future. And the Instagram is SOK Messenger, SOK Messenger. Hey, that's our Instagram. So Instagram at SOK Messenger. All right, so I'm going to work on this, get this corrected. But there are links to all of our social media platforms. The New Orleans Center, I'm going to have to correct this slide also, the New Orleans Center of the Society of Knowledge, we have our fellowship and celebration every Sunday at 10 a.m. on Facebook Live at The Messenger and at the Donatus and King. And you can attend in person every second and fourth Sunday at 10 a.m. at Imani Temple, number 28. That's 2411 Treasure Street. That's here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Brother Cool, I'm inviting you, ask you to check in if you can. You check in through Zoom and join this discussion. The same thing, Welly. If you can check in through Zoom, join this discussion. All right. And we have our in-person fellowship every second and fourth Sunday at the Imani Temple number 28, and that's 2411 Treasure Street here in the city of New Orleans. Now, one announcement, a major announcement, is that we will not be meeting in person this coming Sunday. Even though that's the second Sunday, we will not be meeting in person this coming Sunday, but we will be on Facebook, all right, live at 10 a.m. this coming Sunday. All right, the Lafayette, Louisiana Center of the Society of Knowledge, that's presided over by Messenger Ryan King. The North Carolina Center of the Society of Knowledge, That's presided over by Messenger Tay Narvell. They have a broadcast, and that's All Things Elevation, and it airs on Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Instagram at All Things Elevation 7. The Opelousas Center of the Opelousas, Louisiana Center of the Society of Knowledge, that's presided over by Messenger Corey Levy. And I'm hoping that Messenger Corey will join us tonight, because I saw some things that's going on out there in Opelousas, some events that are coming up. I know they have a Juneteenth celebration that's coming up, some other events, and hopefully he'll be able to join us and share with us some of the events that are going on out there in Opelousas. The Crowley, Louisiana Center of the Society, that's presided over by Messenger Othello Andrews Jr. And I'm hoping that Messenger Frank will join us. Imani Temple number 28, shout out to the folks over at Imani Temple number 28. That's presided over by Bishop Wendy Mee, and they're located at 2411 Treasure Street here in the city of New Orleans. Imani Temple number 49 of the African American Catholic Congregation, presided over by Archbishop John W. Milton. He's the pastor, and they're at 201 East Willow Street in Lafayette, Louisiana. Previously recorded episodes of The Message can be watched on Cox Cable Orleans Channel 76. That's right. We're on TV. We've been on TV, I guess, about 20 years now. On Wednesdays at 1 p.m. and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. And on YouTube, 24/7 YouTube at our YouTube channel, and that's DNK Messenger. Religious spiritual study, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. That's as it comes out in the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. Shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Coming out of the book of John, chapter 8, 32. And prove all things, hold fast that which is good. First book of Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 21. Good evening, Sister Connie, coming out of San Antonio. And Sister Connie, I hope you're doing well out there. And I know the weather's been kind of rough, but hope things are going great for you out there in San Antonio. All right, and our topic tonight, Sister Connie, the topic tonight, premarital sex. And that topic tonight, premarital sex. Now, you know, this might seem like a titillating discussion topic. And some of you might be waiting to see, well, Brother King, where are you going to go with this topic, premarital sex? Well, it's a very complex topic, very complex. And it's complex for several reasons. One of those reasons being that we got to get some understanding about what we're talking about with premarital sex. And depending upon what your religious background is, premarital sex, and by that term, what I mean by that term, having sex before you're married. All right? Now, I'm not talking about adultery. That's a whole different deal. If you're married and you're having sex with somebody that's not your spouse, okay, that's a whole different deal. What I'm talking about now is premarital, okay? Having sex with somebody before you get married. All right? All right? And I see Brother Reed saying that it's an invalid passcode. Brother Reed, if you just open up Facebook and open up that post that says Zoom link, if you just open that up and hit that link, it'll take you straight here to Zoom. You won't have to put any passcode or anything else. All you have to do is just click the link. And so anybody else, and that's Brother Reed, thank you for giving me a call here, but sending a text rather. But anybody else that might be having that problem about the passcode, just don't worry about the passcode. As a matter of fact, you may even see, if you go to the link, that's the easiest. Just go to Facebook, open up the Facebook post that says Zoom link, scroll down, and you'll see a blue bar, and it says, click here to go and just hit that Zoom link, and it should take you straight to Zoom. All right, as I was saying about premarital sex, And we're not talking about adultery now. We're talking about premarital. So you're not married and you're having sex. All right. So when I started preparing for this, one of the things about it, what's so important about this topic is that depending upon what religion you belong to, premarital sex could have you wind up in hell. That's right. Could have your soul burning in hell for all eternity, depending upon what religion you belong to. Now, see, so that's important. So that is important because there's probably some of you all out there that don't, well, first of all, it's probably some of you that believe in hell and believe in there being things that you can do that can cause your soul to burn in hell for all eternity. Okay? Some of y'all might believe that. So it's important. This is an important subject, an important topic. Look, it's real. Let me take it. Let's go right into this. All right, so let's start out the discussion with the real basic. All right, we talk about premarital sex. And so let's start out with what is sex? All right, let's start out with that. Right? So we talk about premarital sex. Let's start out with what is sex? Let's define sex. Get some understanding about sex. Well, fornication. All right, fornication. And as you see on the screen, depending upon what your religion is and your definition, this here could be an act of fornication. As you see this man and woman laying down there. People engage in a variety of sexual acts. And a lot of what I'm reading has come from Wikipedia and different sites on the web, and from the Bible and from the Quran. So as I go through this, that's where a lot of this information is coming from. Okay, people engage in a variety of sexual acts, ranging from activities done alone, okay, sexual acts, ranging from activities done alone. Now, how can you have a sexual activity alone? All right, now, this is grown folks discussion now. How can you have a sexual act alone? Well, that's called masturbation. Oh, Brother King, how you gonna be here on a spiritual show and talking about masturbation? Well, I'm talking about it because according to some definitions of sexual activity, masturbation is a form of sexual activity. All right? Activities done alone to act with another person. Okay, so sexual activity can be alone or it can be with other persons. For example, sexual intercourse, non-penetrative sex, oral sex, etc., in varying patterns of frequency for a wide variety of reasons. Okay? Sexual activity, fornication. Sexual activity may also include conduct and activities which are, wait a minute, now look at this, well, hold on, see, this little sneaky little part right here. Listen to this. Sexual activity may also include conduct and activities which are intended to arouse the sexual interest of another or enhance the sex life of another, such as personal interactions between individuals. For instance, foreplay. Hold on now. Foreplay. Foreplay, a form of sexual activity. Now, see that? So, some definitions of sexual activity includes foreplay. Yeah, some folks might be of the opinion that, well, hold on now. Foreplay is not sexual activity. And what is foreplay? Foreplay is a set of emotionally and physically intimate acts between one or more people meant to create sexual arousal and desire for sexual activity. Hold on now, foreplay. Although foreplay is typically understood as physical sexual activity, non-physical activities such as mental or verbal acts may in some contexts be foreplay. So hold on now. What we are reading now is that some definitions of sex acts includes not only touching, but includes talking, okay, verbal, or maybe making some little sound, you know. I don't want to get too graphic about this, but you know what kind of sounds I'm talking about. Make them little sex sounds, a little whispering and that little voice, that little, yeah, sexual activity. So if we talk about sexual activity before marriage, we talk about foreplay before marriage, that's premarital sex. And according to some religions, you can go to hell for that. Wait a minute, look what it says right here. It says right here, foreplay can, let me pull this off the screen because y'all been looking at that for a while, that foreplay. All right. Foreplay can consist of various sexual practices, such as, I'm just reading this right off the paper, sexual practices such as kissing. Wait a minute now, kissing? Well, you saw that picture on the screen just now. That looked like some kind of foreplay. Them people kissing, all right? Kissing, sexual touching, removing clothes, oral sex, sexual games, and role playing. Look, I'm saying all this stuff here. You can look at television, and I'm not talking about none of those pay-per-view channels. I'm talking about regular TV, regular television. And you can see on regular television, people kissing and people touching each other and hugging. All that kind of stuff they're doing. And according to what I just read, right here, what I just read, that foreplay, that's sexual activity. And if that's sexual activity and you're not married, then according to some religions, you can go to hell. Brother Cool, you can go to hell, you can go straight to hell. Do not pass go. Do not collect nothing, but just collect your pitchfork because you're going to burn. That's what some folks believe. That's what some religions teach. All right? And when I'm saying that, some religions teach that. Let's go and see what some religions teach. All right. Get out that foreplay. That foreplay there. They look like they're getting ready to engage in. If that's not sexual activity that they're doing right now, that look like they're getting ready to get into some of that sexual activity. Look what Matthew chapter 5, verse 38 says. Look, says, look, oh man, now this is some stuff right here. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart. I remember many, many years ago, President Jimmy Carter said that. He lusted in his heart. And that's a sin. All right? If you look at a woman, all right, so this ain't adultery, commit adultery. So that means if a married man looks at a woman with lust in his heart, then he's committed a sin. Now look, I'm gonna take it. Let me hold on a second. I do have one more to go with that. Look at this here. Now this man walking with this woman, and another woman passed by. He turned around. He's looking at her behind. Look at that. He's lusting after her. All right? He's lusting after her. Now, what I said, I wanted to stop for a minute because if you look at television, and again, not none of those pay-per-view stations, just the regular channels, just look at television and you see all kinds of images that are put on TV that are designed to make, yeah, Brother Cool say he's just going to be in hot water. Yeah, tell about the picture that was on it just now. There are all kinds of images on TV that are designed to make you lust. And not only to make men lust, but women lust also. You know, how many times have you looked at TV and they might be trying to sell a car and they'll have a model that'll come on with the car and she might have on a bathing suit or something. Now, what does a bathing suit have to do with a car? And here a man might be watching a football game and this commercial comes on and this woman comes on there with a bikini on. And that man, he's looking, woo, woo. And if his wife is not in there, if it's just a bunch of guys hanging around, they might start talking about, oh man, what I would do with that. You know, all kinds of stuff like that. They lusting. So according to some religions, they're not ready to commit a sin because they're lusting in their heart. Look at that. I'm not only talking about TV. I'm talking just like that picture we had on there just now. And the man walking down the street and this woman come by. You know good and well. Or if you don't want to admit it, I'll admit it. You be out the street just going to Walmart. And they got some women coming up there dressed all kind of ways. And you walk by and you try to look straight ahead. Okay? They walk by and they'll have on some stuff on there. Be just like that man. You know, be trying not to be obvious about it. Okay? Like if you're looking at the shelf or something. But you're lusting. You're lusting. All right? You are lusting. And look, in New Orleans, I'm going to tell y'all something. In New Orleans, take a ride down Chef Highway. Man, I rode down Chef Highway the other day, and there's a woman, I'm telling you the truth. This is broad daylight. This woman had on something like a fishnet dress with nothing on. Maybe she might have had a thong on or something, but you know, I didn't look that close. I just kept going. But I saw when I passed by, broad daylight, walking down Chef Highway. All right, right there off of Diamond Road. Y'all New Orleans know what I'm talking about. I said, wow, look at this. Lust. All right, lust in your heart. So now, look, Christian Bible, that's the New Testament. Okay, Matthew chapter 5:28 talks about that. Now look at this here. Fornication, you heard me use that word earlier. Fornication, sexual intercourse between people not married to each other. Okay, so you and your girlfriend have sexual intercourse. Fornication. And according to what we was reading earlier, you and your girlfriend kissing. That's fornication, sexual activity. And if you kissing your girlfriend and you're not married, you're going to commit a sin. Your soul going to go to hell. All right? And premarital. Now think about all them folks in the world that not only did this before, but doing it right now. That's shacking. They're living together, not married, having sex. They got people big time in the church, sit in the front pew, be shouting and everything else falling out. Not married, not a lick. Fornicating. Premarital sex. I don't care if you've been together 30 years. If you ain't married, it's premarital. Okay, premarital sex. And we just read and read a couple more scriptures about that. You'll go to hell, according to some churches. You're going to go to hell. You're going to burn in hell for eternity. Your soul going to burn in hell for eternity. Now, let me just read some of this a minute here. See how complicated this is getting now? Some of y'all thought it was cut and dry, premarital sex. But no, according to some churches, the slightest little thing that you do is prohibited. Okay? The slightest little thing. No, you can't be doing no spooning. And you can't be doing no cuddling. You can't be doing none of that stuff. That's premarital, that's sexual activity. All right? All right, look at that. So some of y'all that thought y'all was on the good side, now you come to find out that, hold on, you're on the bad side. See, some of y'all that thought that, well, look, we haven't had any kind of penetration. We haven't had any kind of oral sex. We haven't had any of that. But yeah, we like to hug and squeeze each other and rub on each other. We like to do all that and kiss. We like doing all that. But we ain't gone all the way. It don't matter according to some of the stuff. You still going to hell, according to some churches, some religions. All right, let's go on with it. Let's go on with it. All right. The Pauline epistles contain multiple condemnations of various forms of extramarital sex. Extra meaning outside the marriage. The first epistle to the Corinthians states, flee from sexual immorality, and lists adulterers and those who are sexually immoral, practicing fornicators, in a list of wrongdoers who will not inherit the kingdom of God. Look at that, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9, and chapter 6, verse 18. And remember fornication? Sexual intercourse between people not married to each other. Right? So now we've been talking about Christianity and definition of Christianity. All right? And see that thing about not married. All right, what does Islam have to say about it? Okay, so we talk about Christianity. Let's say here in the society, we are interdenominational. We have folks that follow Islam, that follow Christianity, that follow Buddhism, that follow everything, that don't follow nothing. We got all kinds of folks here. What does Islam teach? Well, look at it. In the Quran. In the Quran, that's the Muslim Bible. Okay, in Surah, and that's the book. Okay. Chapter 17, Surah 17, verse 32, here it says, and come not near to unlawful sex. Verily, indeed, it is ever an immorality and an evil way. All right? That evil sex. And it says here that the Quran deals with zina, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but Z-I-N-A, and that's immoral sex, in several places. The Quran deals with zina in several places. First is the Quranic general rule that commands Muslims not to commit zina. Brother Reuben, thank you for joining us. Please, everybody that's hitting us on Facebook, please hit the like button, hit the share button. All right, let folks know what's going on. And join us by Zoom. Okay, join us by Zoom, because I'd like to hear your lovely voices in Zoom. So, Brother Reuben, hit that like button, hit that share button, and thank you for joining us. All right, so now here, so we saw the Christians condemning that, premarital sex. Now we see in Islam doing the same thing. Now come nigh to fornication and adultery, for it is a shameful deal and an evil, opening the road to other evils. So premarital sex, that's a gateway evil. It leads to other evils. And so if you out here fornicating, then that's going to lead you to doing other evil deeds. And your soul is really, really, really going to go to hell. You're going to perish. You're going to just be burned up in hell for all eternity. All right? All eternity. In the Hadith, the definition of zina has been described as all forms of sexual intercourse, penetrative or not penetrative, outside of marriage. Abu, and I'm gonna talk in a minute about some personal stuff I know. Abu Hurairah reported Allah's apostle as saying, Allah has decreed for every son of Adam his share of zina, which he will inevitably commit. The zina of the eyes is looking. Oh, see, goes back to what we talking about, lusting in your heart. The zina of the eyes is looking. The zina of the tongue is speaking. One may wish and desire, and the private parts confirm that or deny it. Wait a minute, the private parts, what are you talking about? The private parts, well, understand I'm getting is that if a man's looking at something, he might try to deny that he's getting aroused, but his private parts might give him away. All right? Now, I'm not going to go any deeper than that. You get some understanding yourself about that. Most of the rules related to adultery and fornication are related to accusations from a husband to his wife or from members of the community. The chaste women can be found in Surat An-Nur, the light. The surah starts by giving very specific rules about punishment for zina. Now, I'm going to take and speak about something that I know a little bit about. I had the blessing, my wife and I had the blessing about 9 years ago to travel. We traveled to Europe, we went to Rome, Egypt, Jerusalem. And when we were in Egypt, we had the blessing to be able to go in a mosque, one of the holiest mosques, largest mosque in Egypt, and participate in prayer service. And went through the whole deal. You know, before the prayer service, there's a communal washing area where you have to wash behind your ears, I think your elbows, your ankles, you have to wash. And then the women go to a separate place to pray. And the men go to a separate place to pray. And the women have to put on a covering, a robe, cover up their head, cover up all their body. And they're in separate places to pray. And the way the Spirit worked, the way God works, that while we were there praying, and we had the opportunity to meet with some Egyptians and have a long time after the prayer service was over with, to sit down in the mosque and to have a discussion. And I'm talking about for a long time. We have videos of all that. We haven't played those videos in a while, but I'm going to bring them up and show that, you know, sometime in the near future. But while we were praying, and we got to know each other very well. And after we left Egypt, we kept in touch with them for a while. Haven't spoken with them in a good little while, but we did keep in touch. And we were talking, and one of the things that struck me, they were telling me that according to what they had been taught in Islam, that you can have someone that you intend to marry, but you can't even, understand what I'm saying? No, it's no hugging and kissing. No, indeed not. It ain't no holding hands, not even holding hands, none of that. And going out on a date, No, 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 no. All right. So look, the stuff that's prohibited by their imam, by their understanding of Islam, is stuff that Christians do and take it for granted. Holding hands, going on dates, hugging and kissing. Right? So premarital sex, depending upon what religion you belong to, depending upon how sex is defined and interpreted by your church and by your religion, what could condemn you and your soul to hell for all eternity in one religion might be something that's cool in another religion. All right. So now that kind of raises the the question there about, hold on. If I don't want my soul to go to hell, what religion am I going to follow? What law am I going to follow? Am I going to follow the Muslim law? Am I going to follow the Christian law? Am I going to follow the Jewish law? Is it okay to hug and kiss and don't go any further? Is it okay to hold hands? Is it all right to be engaged and then we can hug and kiss? Is it okay to shat? Am I going to go to hell because I shat? You know, a lot of choices, a lot of decisions to be made. And now that brings us to the next part of our discussion. And Brother Reuben, we've been talking about premarital sex, and there's a whole lot of religions that condemn premarital sex before marriage. So we've been dealing for the past 30 minutes with sex and defining what sex is and all the rest of that. Now we got an issue about marriage. In marriage. So if I just want to play it safe, I don't want to run the risk of having my soul burn in hell for all eternity. Eternity, that's a long time. I don't want to have my soul burn in hell for all eternity. If I just want to play it safe, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go hurry up and get married. All right? And then I'll settle all that. I ain't got to worry about if hugging and kissing is okay, if holding hands is okay. I ain't got to worry about that. Just hurry up and get married. All right? Well, that raises a question. In my mind, it raises a question about what is a marriage? What constitutes a marriage? What is a bona fide seal of approval, save you from going to hell, marriage? What is it? Because look, when I was doing some research, I found all different kinds of marriages, all different kinds. And I'm going to read a little bit, Brother Cool, all different kinds of marriages. So I'm going to read a little bit about some of these marriages. Now look, start off with Jewish. Jewish marriage in the time of Jesus was a two-stage process. First, there was a betrothal. All right? And we read in the Bible that Mary was betrothed to Joseph. See, don't say it was married to, was betrothed to Joseph. So what is that? Betrothed. Okay, what is that? We're going to read a little bit about that. First, there was a betrothal in which the man claimed the woman to be his only bride. Okay, so this is it. I claim you to be my bride. Okay, so that's the betrothal. Secondly, there was a marriage contract. Now, see, I didn't know. I knew about the betrothal part. I didn't know about the contract part. See that? And this is some ancient stuff that goes back thousands of years. So marriage is a two-part deal. You got one claiming that you my woman, okay, you my bride. And then they actually sign a contract. Maybe you all knew about this, Brother Reuben. Did you know about that? That part of the Jewish marriage is that you got to sign a contract? Well, that's what it says here. Look, there was a marriage contract that specified what the bride and groom's families would give the couple and what the bride would obtain if she divorced. I had no idea about this. This is a prenup. All right. This is a prenup. I had no idea about this. But all the research that I've done says that this goes back thousands of years. So that's the Jewish marriage. All right. At the time of Jesus, in the rural areas like Galilee, a young couple might well cohabit, wait a minute, before the contract was signed in order to get acquainted. Cohabit, live together. They were shack. Hold on now. Oh, they were shack. As earlier, we was reading some stuff that seemed to suggest that it was wrong to shack, to cohabit before you're married. But I guess they explained it and say that, well, look, they're not married all the way, but they are on their way to getting married. They're partially married. All right? They are partially married because he done claimed her. And she done said, yeah, she has been claimed. Now, hold on. Wait a minute. If that was cool back then and there, back in them days, that you could cohabit once you claim each other, that's my woman, that's my man. All right, so now it's cool. We can live together. We can live together because we didn't claim each other. We didn't need no rabbi, minister, nobody else get involved, no third party. I claimed you, you claimed me, so we cool. We can cohabit now. We can shack. Well, if that was cool 1,000 years ago, why y'all gonna complain about people shacking today? If people shacking today, somewhere along the line, they must have said, look, I'm gonna be your man. And the woman must say, I'm be your woman. Come on, that's cool. We claimed each other. Now we can live together. Right? Cohabit. You see something? Man, see, this is getting kind of deep here. Trying to get some understanding here. So that's back in Jesus' day. And look, the scripture tells us, it talks about Mary and Joseph. They were cohabiting. They were betrothed. The scripture don't say that they were married. It said betrothed. The first part, kind of like engaged. And they were cohabiting. They're traveling together. Okay? And they stayed. Look, the scripture said there was no room for them in the inn. All right? Yeah, that makes you scratch your head. If you Christian or Jewish, whatever you is, when you read this stuff, Mary and Joseph, what's up with that? Was they condemned to hell? All right, let me see. The betrothal was held to be enough of a marriage that a divorce would be needed if the couple split up between betrothal and contract. And there's a reference here, Matthew 1:19, in which the as yet unmarried Joseph considers divorcing Mary to avoid the potential scandal of her being pregnant with Jesus, alludes to this practice. Oh man, I got to start running now. In Jewish law, marriage consists of two separate acts called erusin or kedushin, which is the betrothal ceremony. And let's see, I do have, I think, slide relating to that, which is the betrothal ceremony. And I put my glasses back on so I can see the screen. The betrothal ceremony. All right. The Muslims. I don't know what happened. I did have a slide with the betrothal ceremony, but something happened to it. All right. So we're gonna go back up to here. All right. Which is a betrothal ceremony in Nisun or Shupar, the actual Jewish wedding ceremony. And what I'll do is, since we don't have the slide, pull this back. Okay, Erusin changes the couple's personal circumstances, while Nisun brings about the legal consequences, and that's the contract sign, legal consequences of the change of circumstances. In Talmudic times, these two ceremonies usually took place up to a year apart. Up to a year apart. So you can be betrothed and don't sign the contract for another year. All right. In Talmudic time, these two ceremonies usually took place up to a year apart. The bride lived with her parents until the actual marriage ceremony, Nisan, which would take place in a room or tent that the groom has set up for her. Since the Middle Ages, the two ceremonies are taking place as a combined ceremony performed in public. So now, you see what we're reading here? You see what we're reading? We're reading about the way things was during crisis time, where they would be betrothed and cohabitate. They would shack. And then later on in Talmudic times, they start living separate. All right. And then it says here, since the Middle Ages, the two ceremonies are taking place as a combined ceremony performed in public. So the betrothal and the contract signing occurs nowadays in the same ceremony. According to the Talmud, Erusin involves the groom handing an object to the bride. Now this is deep. Involves the groom handing an object to the bride, either an object of value such as a ring, or a document stating that she is being betrothed to him. In order to be valid, this must be done in the presence of two unrelated male witnesses. After Erusin, the laws of adultery apply, and the marriage cannot be dissolved without a religious divorce. After Nisan, the couple may live together. And again, this is Talmudic times. So we have one religion, Judaism, but we can see how it's evolved and how its rules have changed. So if we took the rules today, the way they're interpreted by the Jewish people today, Joseph and Mary would have been in trouble back then. Yeah. And that's why Joseph kept the secret that Mary was pregnant. The act of Erusin may be made by the intended parties or by the respective parents or other relatives on their behalf with their consent. A man and a woman cannot be betrothed to one another without agency and consent. The act is formalized in a document known as the Shtar, Tanim, the document of conditions, which is read prior to the Vatican. After the reading, the mother of the bride, of the future bride and groom, will break a plate. Today, some sign the contract on the day of the wedding, do it at an earlier ceremony, and some do not do it at all. It should also be emphasized that this practice is not explicitly mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. So there's some stuff that's law now that's not in the Bible. All right. So now the next slide, and I do want to move a little faster now because we are almost out of time. Christian weddings. And as you see here, Christian wedding, there are ceremonies in Christian wedding, and it has to be performed by a minister. Okay? a minister. Now, that minister can come from all different backgrounds. All right? All different kinds of backgrounds. Okay? It can be the minister can be a bishop, can be an apostle, can be anything, as long as they have that title of being a minister. And that title comes from whomever it is that ordained. So you can have, and see, a lot of folks don't know, okay, in the Catholic Church, you have to go through a hierarchy. There's a level you got to go through. You got to go through seminary, go through the school, and then, you go through, pass a lot of tests and all the rest of that. And then eventually you are ordained to be a Catholic priest. All right, and you can perform weddings and all the rest of that kind of stuff. Baptist church, Protestant churches, they have their own hierarchy. So somebody starts a church 30 years ago, and they start preaching. Maybe they went to the seminary, the Baptist Theological Seminary, or maybe they didn't, but they start preaching. And then they ordain some other ministers. They say, yeah, well, you've been coming to church. You know what you're talking about. You know the scriptures, the rest of that. We're going to ordain you. Then they can perform weddings and things such as that. And in a lot of Christian churches, most Christian churches, in order to get married in the church, you have to have a minister to perform the wedding. So don't come in there talking about you betrothed and you done signed the contract. No, if you're Christian, you got to go through the Christian ceremony. So now just think about that a minute. All those Jewish people throughout the thousands of years that have been betrothed and went through that but didn't get married by a Christian minister, their soul's going to hell because they've been having sex and they ain't married. Same vice versa. Christians that didn't go through the Jewish ceremony. If the Jewish people are right, then all the Christians, they're having premarital sex. Their soul's going to go to hell, burned up for eternity. And look here, we got another one, I think, here. Muslims. They have their own ceremony, their own rules. So, this is, if you're a thinking person, you might have some questions about this. Most folks here in the United States are Christian. Most folks in the United States are going to say, well, look, this is the way that you got to go. If you do anything else, if you go follow all this Muslim stuff, follow all this Jewish stuff, then you're going to hell anyway. Just going to hell anyway. All right? Hey, gonna be a lot of folks in hell. Whole lot of folks in hell. We got more Muslims in this world than Christians. Way more Muslims than Christians. Way, way, way more Muslims than Christians. All the Chinese people that follow Buddha, they going to hell. Okay? They are going to hell. But wait a minute. See, because I've left off some stuff, and I'm going to touch on it just real quick here. How about folks that get married by the justice of the peace? Or get married by the judge? Don't get married in the church. Don't get married in the synagogue. Don't get married in the mosque. How about them people? If they're having sex, but they've been married by the notary public or by the justice of the peace or by a judge, and they're having sex now because they think they're married, but if they didn't go through the ceremony of the Christians or the ceremony of the Jews or the ceremony of the Muslims, their soul's gonna burn in hell now. And they got a whole lot of folks that's getting married by justice of the peace. and getting married by judges. A whole lot of folks getting married by people that ain't got nothing to do with religion. Just go to the courthouse, get married. They're going to burn in hell. Premarital sex. Premarital sex. All right? Depends upon the marriage. What is the marriage? And I'm going to close out on this. What marriage ceremony did Adam and Eve have? I read through my Bible, and I don't read nothing in Genesis where they had a marriage ceremony. Nothing in there. And that brings up the question, can you simply be married without a particular ceremony? The same way that the Jews used to say that they claim in betrothal that I'm your man and you my wife. Is that enough to keep your soul from burning in hell for all eternity? All right, I'll close out on that premarital sex. Well, it depends upon what you call sex, depends upon what you call marriage, and it depends upon whether you do actually believe that God Almighty can create you out of itself. Can you believe, and do you believe that you are a part of God, and that you can, a part of you, whether you call it your spirit, your soul, whatever you call, that you can be condemned to suffer for eternity because of something that you did? Or do you believe that you are indeed a part of God and that God is in control? And I'm going to tell you something right now, what I believe. I believe that God is Almighty. I believe that I'm a piece of God. I believe that you're a piece of God. I believe that God has every step of my life planned out before I was born. That God has every step of your life planned out before you were born. I believe, I know that everything works together according to what? According to God's plan. I know that God's will be done. And because I know that God's will be done, and because I know that God is Almighty, I pray that it's God's will that you in this upcoming week, that you and yours be blessed with peace. Again, next week on The Message, see you on Facebook, Sunday, 10 a.m. for our fellowship. May God Almighty bless you and yours with peace.